The episode began with an assassin known as Hitokiri Himura Badasai, surrounded by soldiers. The assassin appeared calm and unfazed as he effortlessly dispatched all of them. 10 years later, after the Bakumatsu's end, the former assassin, Hitokiri Himura Badasai, wanders around Tokyo where he suddenly gets attacked by swordsmanship teacher named Kamiya Kaoru from the Kamiya Kashin dojo. She suspects him as the perpetrator behind recent killings. Despite his explanation that he's new in town and unaware of the situation, she remains skeptical because to her, no one would casually stroll around at night carrying a sword, disregarding the law. Realizing he can't persuade her, Himura concedes and reveals his weapon, the Sakabato, a reverse blade incapable of killing anyone. Just then, a man claiming to be Badasai himself studying the Kamiya Kashin Ryu causes riots in the city. Kaoru then rushes towards him and engages in a fight, but ends up injured. As the man attempts to depart, Kaoru endeavors to pursue him, yet Himura intervenes and stops her. He warns her about the danger of pursuing him while injured, but she refuses to listen because she wants to caught the guy as soon as possible since he is using the sword style of her dojo to commit crossroad killing, ruining her dojo reputation. As they talk, the police arrive, leaving them no choice but to leave as quickly as possible. Back at her dojo, Himura notices that there are no students. Kaoru then explains to him that although their sword style is small, they used to have around 10 dedicated students who worked diligently together. However, 2 months ago, the man claiming to be Badasai suddenly started committing crossroad killings, causing all the students to flee, fearing his name. Consequently, nobody in town dares to come near their dojo. Kaoru doesn't understand why this man claims the same sword style as her dojo and whether he's truly the legendary Badasai. Her main concern is to capture him as quickly as possible because this sword style was created by her father, and she's determined not to let this man tarnish its reputation. Her father didn't approve of murderous swords. With an ambition for swords that give life, he poured all of his efforts for the last 10 years into creating his own sword style. After learning all this, Himura turns to Kaoru and advises her to avoid walking around at night because that man is much stronger than she is. The pride of a sword style is not important enough as to risk her life to protect it. Hearing this make Kaoru really angry, telling him, he doesn't understand it. He wouldn't understand the frustration she is feeling right now. Before he leaves, he tells her, his father wouldn't wish his sword style to be protected at the cost of his daughter's life. A few days later, while shopping, Kaoru spots Himura getting arrested by the police for carrying a sword around the town. Kaoru rushes over to help him, arguing with the police. Then, an old man intervenes, halting the argument. He discreetly gives some money to the police to secure Himura's release. After the police leave, Himura expresses gratitude to Kaoru and the old man for their help. Himura then asks Kaoru if she knows anything about the man that claiming to be Badasai. Kaoru responds, saying she has some leads on who the perpetrator might be. She mentions a former swordsmanship dojo in the neighboring town that's now a spot for gamblers and thugs. Apparently, the leader of that place is described as huge, almost 6.5 feet tall, which matches the description of the man perfectly. While she talks, the old man interrupts and informs her that he has to prepare dinner, so he'll be leaving now. As the old man departs, Himura looks at him and asks Kaoru about their connection. She explains that the old man's name is Kihei. He is like a live-in servant. It was right after her father passed away. She found him lying on the street in front of her dojo and nursed him back to health. Kihei always get worried about her and tell her she should sell off the dojo and live in peace. Himura then asks her about his background, but is surprised to learn that she doesn't know it. He then tells her she is too carefree, but she responds saying, she doesn't think so because to her it is not surprising for anyone to have 1 or 2 tales of the past that they don't want to tell anyone. Upon hearing this, Himura smiles before parting ways with her. Later that night, Himura heads to the location that Kaoru mentioned to find the perpetrator. There, he encounters a group of guys who happen to be associates with the perpetrator. Naturally, Himura easily defeats all of them. Back at the dojo, Kihei reveals his true identity to Kaoru. It turns out that he is the older brother of the perpetrator. He's the one who instigated his brother to use Badasai's name to cause a commotion with crossroad killings in order to tarnish the reputation of her sword style. His motive behind all this is to manipulate Kaoru into selling her dojo to him, as he believes the land's value will increase in the future. After telling her that, his brother then arrived with his men and overpowered her, forcing her to sell her dojo. Fortunately, Himura intervened just in time, swiftly defeating most of them and revealing his true identity as the real Badasai. Seeing this, the imposter Badasai, feeling thrilled and then drew his sword, claiming the world didn't need two Badasais. However, with a single strike, Himura managed to knock him out clean. Following that, Himura aimed his sword at Kihei, intimidating him to the point where he passed out. Afterward, Himura attempted to leave but was stopped by Kaoru. Kaoru doesn't care at all about Himura past, instead she asks him to stay with her and help her revive her dojo. With nowhere else to go, he agreed to her request and revealed that his current name is Kenshin Himura.